Not good. That's settled then. Now, let's begin with the largest threat to our democracy, Herr Hitler. Any suggestions?
Might I suggest we put him in a position where we can control him?
What position did you have in mind?
Upon the death of President Paul von Hindenburg, the final nail was added to the coffin of the short-lived Weimar Republic. Many would argue that Hitler's rise to power was inevitable long before Hindenburg had died, and some argue that his death was not a factor. The popularity of the Nazis was undeniable, especially in the early stages of the Great Depression. In the 1932 presidential election, Hitler gained 37% of the vote against Hindenburg, a significant amount considering that he was from a fringe party. He had gained serious support from conservative factions who had felt left behind after Hindenburg had expressed support for the moderate left and center parties. Several months later, in the July Reichstag elections of 1932, the Nazi Party made significant gains, gaining a total of 230 seats, becoming the largest party, albeit without holding a majority. This provided Hitler with leverage for him to be appointed as Chancellor, which Hindenburg unsurprisingly denied him of. This was essentially his way of getting back at von Schleicher. Papen had also convinced Hindenburg that he could keep Hitler in control. He agreed, and received Hindenburg's and his son's blessing of this new partnership. The reign of terror begins. At this point in time, there were still many threats facing Hitler's rule. Internal struggle between the Nazis and the perception of unruliness added to their fading popularity. Also, Hitler could have been dismissed any time by the president, however unlikely that may be. Numerous laws were passed to further secure his power, such as the Enabling Act of 1933. Nights of the Long Knives also took place within this period, which involved SA members being purged or merged into the party. The Enabling Act gave him legal authority to essentially do as he pleased without Reichstag approval. Then came the death of Hindenburg. It was the cherry on top. At that point, Hitler was already running an effective government with essentially unlimited legislative power. Now the thing is, prior to Hindenburg's death, Hitler had already made an agreement with the cabinet that the offices of the Chancellor and the President would be combined. However, Hindenburg had other ideas. In a letter containing his will, he wished for the monarchy to be restored. He handed this letter to his Chancellor to be made public. An obvious threat to power, his Chancellor had a different idea. Papen was furious, but he knew he could have not done anything anyway, and also his life was at stake. He only narrowly escaped death by the Nazis. Hitler's rise to power ended when the Enabling Act was passed back in March. Arguably, Hindenburg's will would have not been enough to get rid of Hitler, and can be said that it wasn't really a significant factor in his rise to power. But nevertheless, his ailing health symbolized the deterioration of democracy in Weimar, and his death signified its end.